Thank you that you are coming. Yesterday I checked your schedule for the 2026 year, and it's a lot of events, a lot of seminars, and you work 1 month, 2 months without any holidays. I don't know how you do that.
Well, I can say that for the last at least 20 years, more, no, more than that, 25 years, I've been traveling almost constantly, living in America and traveling to Europe. So in a way, I've gotten used to it, and I seem to be able to get over jet lag fairly quickly. And yeah, so it's there have certainly been moments where it's difficult, but I've also had the energy to just keep going, and once I'm in the group, it's that's my milieu. That's where I feel comfortable and good, and I enjoy myself. So I think I became accustomed to working at a very strong pace, and I also have the feeling that, when I came to Osho, when I first came to Osho, the last thing he said after he gave me sannyas was, "And you have to do many more things for me." So I've always felt like he was saying, yes, work, go, do it. And so in a way, it's part of that has been one of the things that gave me energy, because I feel that to do work that is in tune with Osho's vision, what I bring forth with that work is important for the world. And I see that, I mean, like when I started working in Russia, for instance, people were very tight and very, even the people who came to the groups were quite rough and repressed. And even in the years, I mean, I think maybe, I don't know, 12, 15 years, I've seen a change in all of the people that come to me. It's like everybody is more open and more available year by year. And I feel like all of us who are leading groups out in the world that came from the Osho commune, we are having an influence on the larger populations, actually. And so I see certain results, not just in individuals, but in the collective, that has always kept me very excited and interested, because I feel like I'm doing something that makes a difference in terms of the consciousness of all of us.
It's really touched me.
And, I've kept up this pace for many years. And now that I'm older, and I am older now, and I feel my body also asking to slow down a bit. And so I'm trying to listen to that, trying. I mean, all my friends have said, you always say every year you're going to retire and you don't, And it's true. I keep saying I'm going to, but right now I'm really at a point where I feel like this is my last, big year of work. Next year I have a few things to do. So I'm finally, I feel like I'm reaching the end of my career.
Actually, I want to ask this question in the end of our interview. What is next?
Well, I know it's going to be a big change, and I may suddenly decide after I've had a good rest that I need to do something occasionally. That's one possibility. But the other reason why I want to really step back now is because I've just entered into a relationship. And I've, you know, because I've spent my whole life working and traveling, I've never really had properly a long-term relationship. And so I feel like that's an area in life that I haven't explored yet. And it's something new, it's something fresh and something exciting that I want to put my time into now. So it has to do with that, wanting to spend time with my man. And it's such a joy to fall in love at my age, you know.
Yeah. How long?
A little more than 2 years.
And you still fallen in love?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult in the beginning. I was very attracted to him, but we're so different. He's never done anything in the world of personal growth. So, you know, he doesn't know what my life has been based around, and we've just had very different lives. And so it's been difficult, you know, moving apart, moving together. But I think, yeah, slowly we're managing to find our way. And I just feel like I'm falling in love more and more, which is really nice. Yeah, yeah.
Which country you want to stay for? In the USA?
Yes, I will stay in the USA. And I live in California and I own my house, so I will keep my house. But when he retires next year, he's going to move to his house, the house that he's bought to retire in Nevada, which is the state next door to California. And so I'm not ready to say, yes, I want to live with him and stay with him the whole time, but I want to try, you know, and I want to go kind of back and forth, kind of living alone, but being together. But who knows, you know, I may, you know, finally settle and feel that living together is a good idea. So I just have to see. It's all unknown, really.
I hear that you have a very interesting and a little bit funny story how you meet each other. Can you say about that?
Yeah. Well, I was coming back from the airport, as I do very often, and there's a bus that I take between the airport and my house. And he happened to be the bus driver on that occasion. And we started up a conversation. I was sitting close to the front and everybody else had gone off, and we were talking, and then the bus ride was over and I had got my luggage, and I had the impulse that I wanted to hug him, but because it was really a nice connection that we had. But I didn't, because, you know, do you hug your bus driver? I don't know. So I decided to write him a note and give it to his office that said, I really enjoyed our conversation yesterday or whenever it was, and if you'd like to meet me for a cup of coffee, here's my phone number. And he called, and we did meet. And you know, we started by taking drives together and walks together and stuff like that. And yeah, so that was it. He's a bus driver, and he drives charter buses usually, but sometimes he does the airport run. So it was just a chance that I met him, really. Yeah.
It's something like fairy tale.
Yeah, there is something romantic about
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That you tell me about that. The next question is about Tantra.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, I don't want to ask you what means Tantra, because nobody knows exactly what it means.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you qualities we open in our consciousness, in our body, when we do this Tantra work.
Yeah, yeah. one thing I feel is that we're working with a whole set of what we could call higher values or more spiritual values. Things like love, acceptance, gentleness, sensitivity, sweetness. And many of these energies are also more connected to our feminine nature, and in that way, Tantra is a feminine influenced practice. And I always feel that actually it's a woman's work. You know, I can't quite imagine how a man really leads Tantra. I don't know. I'm sure they do very nicely, some of them, but yeah, so we're working with a set of values that are uplifting and supporting and goodness and care and with subtle energies rather than the more gross energies of the body. So certainly the body, the energy that moves through the body is important in Tantra, but it's the beginning in a way. And actually what we're focused on in Tantra, at least what I'm focused on, is these higher values that bring the quality of grace, of understanding, of mutual support. Yeah, so that's one thing that Tantra means to me. And it's something spiritual, of course, but it's unfortunately in modern times. Tantra has been associated with sex, you know, and certainly sexuality is part of it because that's where the energy comes from. That's where the energy arises from our sex center. But as Osho often says, the sex center is the first rung on the ladder of our human system. And to stay at the first rung is to miss all of the richness and the beauty that the higher energies, higher energy centers bring to us. So, yeah, so there is a focus on the body and helping the body be alive and helping the body energy to move. But then there's an emphasis on inviting that energy to rise. And so there are different techniques that can support that rising flow, so that as our energy rises upwards, we become more conscious, more aware, more awake, more inclusive of all that is. It's a very big quality rather than a small, you know, focused quality of the first chakra or the sex center.
And you know, when I told the people who practice Tantra, and they told that Tantra is my way, for example, I often see this kind of, you know, focus. They won't be lightness, soft, and they even don't want meet with anger, with pain, you know.
Yes.
And it creates something strange. What do you think about this part of Tantra?
Yeah, I mean, in the name of being spiritual and loving and all of that, there's a lot of bypassing of the fact that we all carry our inner shadows as well as our inner beauty. And those shadows are actually related to our repressions and the things that we've swallowed down and pushed away in order to remain joyful or loving. But in the meantime, all that stuff that's been pushed down there is anger inside, there is fear, there is pain inside. And so to not acknowledge that is it's a denial of a real part of our energy system. And yeah, so this is why I feel that it's important to do like the pulsation work, so that some of those shadows can be opened and released. The anger can come up, the fear can be felt, the pain, the tears, all of the stuff that we've been pushing down can arise and evaporate. You know, once it comes up, it's seen, it's felt, it's expressed, it evaporates. And so, and then there's more space for the real loving energies to arise. So it's this spiritual bypassing, you know, to maintain the spiritual attitude at all costs is actually denying a big piece of who we are when we arrive into Tantra. Yeah. So that clearing of the blocks and the repressions is important for me in opening certain energetic doors to Tantra.
Yeah. I hear the opinion, it was one guy who arrived to last model, our tantric pulsation, and he don't wanna touch with complicated feelings, and there is so many pain and anger around us. And what do you think about it?
Yeah, and so I don't want to see a part of myself, you know, so it automatically creates a division between what actually is here inside. And he can try, you know, but, you know, pain comes, anger comes, and it's like it's there, but they cut off from it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so, and what we're looking for in Tantra is a sense of wholeness, the capacity to embrace all that I am, all that I carry inside, all the energies that naturally arise as a human. You know, these negative feelings, they're natural responses. And pushing them down only makes them more agitated. Yeah.
You told that you feel that Tantra it's woman's leading, yeah? But the Tantra path of Tantra, it's not woman's only for women's way, it's for women's and for men, yeah, also?
Yes, certainly, certainly. I'm just saying that I think that women are more naturally equipped to sense and feel and move with the tantric energy. So that's why I say that my feeling is that you know, it's good when women are leading it. Men can do it also, why not? But the Tantra way, of course, embraces the masculine and the feminine. Yeah.
What is the difference between male and female paths?
Well, I mean, certainly the masculine qualities are different than the feminine. Feminine has more capacity to flow, to be in the moment, perhaps. It's really hard to answer that question, though, for me. I mean, yeah, maybe men are more self-controlling, maybe more controlling also of the outside. I don't know. I don't know if I can really speak to that, you know. I mean, you know, we know the masculine energy is more concerned with the outer world and expression and coming out, and the feminine is more concerned perhaps with the inner world. But I don't know if, you know, because we all have masculine and feminine inside of us, and perhaps a feminine man could manage to lead Tantra perfectly beautifully. But the male energy in its toughness or its hardness or its disciplined way. So that's kind of the difference I'm talking about. But I don't know if I can really speak to that in terms of either leading or.
Do you think that a Tantra path is a feminine path and the path of surrendering? Can you share how life teach you to give up, to be flow, to be on this feminine principle?
Yeah, I don't like to use the word give up because there's a negative connotation about that, and I would say that would come from the damaged feminine in a way, to just give up, you know. But surrender is something completely different. Surrender, to me, is a joyful thing. When I feel taken by a wave, when I feel when I enter the flow, then I can surrender because I can trust that this flow is going somewhere that I want to go.
How you connect with this surrender in your life? Or you, when you was child, you already can do that? How it's open in your life, this these feelings or this contact with life, because it's something special, I think so, this surrender, this trust to life.
Yeah, it's trust, really. It's trusting that life is showing me my next step, that because I feel like I've always had a fairly deep trust in life. I've always felt welcome in the world. You know, my upbringing gave me that. So I trust, you know, my first impulse is to trust, you know, and I trust the energy. I trust the flow. I trust where life is taking me. And I don't know why. I don't know, you know, I can't say.
It was always like that.
In a way, yeah. I mean, it's not to say that I don't get confused about whether I should do this or do that, you know. And I think there are many different aspects of surrender. I mean, you have, you know, surrendering to love, surrendering in sexuality, surrendering to how things are unfolding. So I would say it has a lot to do with acceptance also. Acceptance of how things are unfolding. And it doesn't mean I necessarily like what's unfolding, but if I can accept it, then I can, within myself, find a degree of peace or relaxation. So I guess, yeah.
You speak that it's so easy, but we both know that it's not easy at all.
Well, yeah, but it's nothing that I've ever had to think about. Let's put it that way, you know. So for me, it's simple, but I don't know if in general it's simple. And I don't even know how to teach it, you know. At least not through words or not through anything specific, but maybe more by example, or maybe more Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's part of the mystery.
You once told how you observed the square with a lot of different people, and a lot of these people turned around and was a little bit scared and nervous. It looked like they are not trusting life and all the time waiting some dangers.
First of all, I think many, many people are conditioned to be suspicious, to mistrust, to not want to engage with strangers, and to close their doors, you know. And this comes from, you know, what you learned from your mother and your father and the family. And so we're taught that. So that's what we carry into life, is suspicion and mistrust. And I think it takes a lot of experiences, for instance, in groups and with other people, to gradually learn that, you know, I don't have to be afraid of that person, or this situation is not dangerous. So I mean, I do feel that life wants us to live. Life wants us to be alive. Otherwise, why are we here, you know? But I also feel that we're here to learn things. And I mean, I believe that we learn different lessons when we live our life, and then in another lifetime we might be working on other lessons so that we become more and more whole, more and more complete as a being, maybe even as a soul. I don't understand all the ins and outs of all that, but life wants us to flourish, you know, wants the trees to grow and the flowers to bloom and the babies to laugh, and, you know, it's like, and of course life brings difficulties, you know, we come up against our resistances and difficulties that didn't even have anything to do with us. Like, how about people that are stuck in wars and things like that, or stuck in poverty? But ultimately, I believe that all of these situations are there to teach us something, and that will be unique for every person who faces any given situation. But there's always something to learn there, and and maybe we learn the lessons and maybe we don't, you know. But I don't ever feel that life is against us. You know, there's no dark force that, you know, wants to put us down, you know. There are negative things in the world, but I don't feel that it has a kind of ultimate intention of struggle.
I want to come back to Tantra. Yeah. In the Tantric Pulsation, you present to us a quote of Osho about when and how Tantra went wrong.
Yeah, a wrong direction.
Yes, yes. Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Well, I mean, I think Tantra, when it was first forming, maybe thousands of years ago, it was a practice, a spiritual practice, like many others, and that a practice that happens to use this life energy. But those practices were very much based in meditation. They were based in awareness, in deep understanding of self and others through meditation. And meditation is not easy over a lifetime. It's not easy to maintain a practice in meditation. It requires a certain amount of not only self-discipline, but the understanding that it's an enriching experience, and it takes time for all of that to develop. So people just, were maybe too lazy to actually go on the whole path of the meditation that true Tantra requires somehow. So they just stayed with the easy bits, the sexual part. And, because it's the most, in a way, obvious, and, we like it, it feels good, it makes us feel, maybe even spiritual. It can take us into spiritual places, but without meditation, it stays, as Osho says about the first rung on the ladder, it stays rooted to the earth rather than something that can expand our consciousness. So, yeah, as I understand it, that's what Osho says went wrong with Tantra, is that people got lazy and took the easy bits and just left the meditation out. So it has, lost its grandeur in a way, because people have tended to stay at lower levels of experience. So that's what I understand, that the key is really meditation and integrating meditation and the meditative qualities into your life.
In this place, I want to ask the question, from time to time, someone on our model also asked about this yoni lingam practice with genitals. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's right way. So if energy here, you do something with genitals, and this energy come up, and everything is okay. What has happened with energy, these people who have a lot of intensive and feelings here, and ways come up, they feel some control pulsation or something like that, and they think that it's tantra or energy or something like that, and they do, so it's tantra. And can you share your opinion about that?
Yeah, I mean, we have these segments of muscular armoring that surround the body at actually the same levels as the chakras. And so those segments that are made up of muscles, and those muscles, they have, in a way, two functions. One is to express when the energy moves up, to express, and another function is to repress, to tighten and hold down the energies. So we all carry a lot of repressions in the different muscular segments in our bodies. And I mean, this is just my impression in working with both pulsation and tantric pulsation, that when people start to wake up the energy here and it starts to bubble up, those blocks are actually activated. They're like, whoop, there's energy coming. Tighten it up, swallow it down. And this is all unconscious, so it's not like any decision is made. It's a biological happening that when we have repressed our energies, those blocks are activated by the rising flow. The other thing I want to say here is that we carry a lot of repressions here around the sex center. We're very, not only repressed, but very screwed up and confused about this energy, and because we've had millennia of instruction that has told us to keep control of that, and So I feel that one thing that does need to happen is that we do need to begin to reawaken the genitals to pleasure and enjoyment and flow. So that's kind of one step in a way. And I'm not sure how the, genital massage, what role that actually plays in, probably it's good for a woman who's never had an orgasm to actually finally have one and see what it feels like. Then, if we're relying on someone else to, manipulate the genitals and give an orgasm, it's like then we become reliant on the therapist or whoever it is that's giving that session. And my suggestion is to wake up our genitals, to wake up our sexuality, is to work with self-touch and self-exploration and breath and so that you find out from the inside what kind of touch works for you and what kinds of movements work and what kinds of sounds and flow in the body. So I have this objection to a therapist calling themselves a Tantra therapist. I mean, I know people who did a weekend in genital massage and suddenly they're calling themselves a Tantra therapist, and all they're doing is giving a genital massage, and it's, I mean, perhaps some people have the sensitivity to do that, but yeah, my feeling is it's not a complete thing, just to awaken the genitals need to be reawakened. Good, let's reawaken the genitals, but I would tend to teach self-touch, breathing, moving, getting a sense of, from, what works actually, rather than having someone else do something to you. And again, because I've seen these people, they come both to pulsation and also tantric pulsation, and when they lie down and they do some breathing, as soon as that charge starts to come up, the blocks get activated. And so I feel that those blocks, what is sitting in those blocks, the anger, the pain, the no, the fight, all of that stuff needs to be opened and expressed as the raw emotion that it is, so that those segments, those muscular segments, can start to relax, because they do relax as we release a feeling. There is more and more of a relaxation in those muscular segments and in the whole body, and much more than a capacity to allow the energy to flow upwards without getting caught in these blocks in the body. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's my thinking about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happened with energy? These people who do a lot of this work with genitals energy, but don't do this work with armoring. What happened with this energy?
Well, I don't know, but once it starts to move up, it starts to actually activate the chakras, the energy centers moving upwards, and each chakra above is like a higher vibration of energy. So when the energy can easily flow up to the heart, then love becomes available. If it can't get there, then the depth of the love, or the is not possible, it seems to me. But yeah, I mean, I can't say what actually happens in each person, you know. I mean, we all have different configurations of, you know, so I hesitate to make blanket statements. Well, if they don't release their blocks, then they never get enlightened, you know. I don't know, honestly. But it seems to me that we can open doorways to higher pleasures and more subtle joys, you know, so that it's not only the earthy pleasure, the animal and nature that is enlivened, but it's also the finer qualities of energy that are also opening and being touched and becoming available. So, but I never did a comparison, you know. Yeah.
Okay, maybe water?
Yeah. Let's have a sip of water. Cheers.
Cheers.